What's up guys, Dutogira here for part 2 of our card review. So today we're going over 4 new cards, and the reason for 4, even though only 3 new ones were released today, it turns out yesterday when I did my card review they released one more card after I did it, which I did not catch, which is right here, this Poison Blade. A 4-mana epic weapon for rogues. It is a 1/3 with the texture hero power gives this weapon +1 attack instead of replacing it. While I appreciate the nostalgic throwback to Rogue's old hero power that read, equip a 1/2 dagger, if you already have a weapon, give it +1 attack instead, this card's stat base is absolutely atrocious. It's either a 4-mana 1/3, strictly worse than Light's Justice, a 6-mana 2/3, strictly worse than Stormforged Axe, an 8-mana 3/3, barely any better than War Axe, and that's like, you're paying literally 6 mana for +1 durability, which is not worth it at all, or a 10-mana 4/3, which is still worse than Assassin's Blade, which is a 5-mana 3/4. So basically Poison Blade is just the cost of using your hero power, and no, playing Maiden of the Lake and Rogue is not the answer. Maiden of the Lake's stat line is terrible, and you're just making Poison Blade less bad, but still bad. The stat line of Poison Blade is atrocious. The text is nowhere near redeeming. I don't think it's ever going to see play, not even in Arena. So, I'm not sure I should call it strictly worse than Light's Justice, but it's definitely strictly worse than every other weapon in the game. Other than maybe Ogre Warmaul. No, this might be worse than Ogre Warmaul. Yeah. I mean, unless there's something that really, really breaks Inspire for Rogue and buffs this thing up. Specifically this thing, not any weapon. Because if it's any weapon, you know, some other weapon will be better than Poison Blade. But unless you get something that really breaks Poison Blade specifically and no other weapon in the game, Poison Blade is bad. So yeah, that's that card. With the 3 new cards, we'll start with the 2 that were released before we get to the exciting legendary. We've got Garrison Commander, a 2-mana 3/2. It's an epic with the text, you can use your hero power twice on your turn. In terms of classes that this is useful in, the classes that like their hero powers the most are Warlock and Paladin. Shaman kind of likes to use their hero power, Rogue doesn't really. Not every single turn at least, and definitely not twice per turn. And no, this does not suddenly make Poison Blade any better. You're still spending 4 mana to give a weapon +2 attack. Don't do it. It's not worth it. But, mostly Warlock, maybe Shaman, maybe Mage. But the thing is, what classes does this actually fit into? You might see it in Warlock, because you could conceivably tap twice in 1 turn and draw 2 cards per turn. In addition to your card draw for the turn, that's 3 cards per turn, but it sets you back to 6 mana. Regardless of that, I feel like this could only have a slot in like an Inspire Paladin deck, because even for Warlock, you're getting what's basically a 6-mana 2/3 Battlecry, draw 2 cards, deal 4 damage to your hero. And the way that card draw works is that drawing a card for the first card drawn is worth 1 mana. Every card after that is worth 2 mana. You play a 2/3, you draw a card. Okay, now it's a 3-mana card that's a 2/3 with Battlecry, draw a card. You could then have a 5-mana 2/3 with Battlecry, draw 2 cards, and that's still considered... that might be okay, because you're getting an Arcane Intellect and a 2/3 in one for the same price as you would get for the 2 separate cards. But this is a 6-mana 2/3 draw 2 cards in Warlock. That also deals 4 damage to your hero. That's just not good. So in Warlock, I still think this thing is not actually strong enough to warrant play. And it wouldn't see play in Zoo because, I mean, its stat line isn't strong enough for Zoo. It's not a 3/2 at 2 mana. It's not sticky. And you're not going to want to immediately use your hero power unless this is like an emergency panic button. And in Zoo, you shouldn't have emergency panic buttons. Not like that. Not that kill your health while getting you cards. So Garrison Commander, maybe in an Inspire Paladin deck where you can summon a bunch of Silverhand recruits. But anywhere else, I don't think it's really worth it. Because no other class likes their hero power that much. And in any mage that wants to ping twice per turn, like, Freeze Mage doesn't have room for this. Tempo Mage would rather be spell flinging than spending 4 mana to deal 2 damage per turn. Yeah. Maybe an Inspire Paladin could use Garrison Commander, but I don't think he's going to be useful anywhere else. Next up we got Silverhand Regent. It's a 3 mana 3/3 with Inspire, summon a 1/1 Silverhand Recruit. Strictly a Paladin minion, rather obviously, because when someone plays a Quartermaster, it does not buff all Silverhand Recruits, just your own, so this isn't like a counter-tech card to Quartermaster, where, you know, you could play it, and then it's just straight-up Paladin counterattack, because he can't Quartermaster, or he buffs your Silverhand Recruits as well. Doesn't work that way. So this is a strictly Inspire Paladin card, because for a 3-drop, the stat line for 3-drops these days is a 2/4 that does something. This card is just a 3/3 that can do something. Now a 3/3 is not terrible, but for 3-drops, a 4/3 is more the stat line you want to be chasing after to get immediate good stat value. And the Inspire mechanic is not strong enough, I don't believe, to make the text redeeming enough, like in the case of Aldor Peacekeeper, where you've got a 3 mana 3/3 that reduces a minion's attack to 1. That can deal with a big minion. This can't. Admittedly, Silverhand Regent could go toe-to-toe with other large... No, it couldn't really go toe-to-toe with other 3-drops either, because even then when you tap and get 2 Silverhand Recruits, it's not going to do the same for you. I mean, it doubles the number of Silverhand Recruits you play every time you tap. But it's not the strongest minion stat-wise, and I guess turning your hero power into summon 2 1/1s isn't bad. But it means your turn 4, which is traditionally a really strong turn for Paladin and minions in general, you're not actually making a turn 4 play. You're making a turn 2 play and summoning 2 2/2s. Or 2 1/1s. I guess in an Inspire Paladin deck that just floods the board with these Silverhand Recruits and then smashes you with them, that could work. Quartermaster, super PogChamp now. We see some other card that, you know, buffs up the Recruits maybe. But yeah, unless we're running some sort of gimmicky Inspire Paladin, I don't think Silverhand Regent is going to be played. So I guess an Inspire Paladin deck is where you could watch for this card to be seen, but I doubt it'd be seen anywhere else. Kind of a funny synergy between these two, though. You end up with a 9 mana, 2/3, 3/3, and then 4 1/1s. See, that's 4, 6, 9, a 9/10 for 9 mana. It's not bad. It's also easily dealt with by like a Holy Nova or Light Bomb, though. Or Pyromancer. Or Hellfire. Or Swipe. Or Blade Flurry. Yeah, there's a lot of ways to do, or Flame Strike. We could keep going. But you guys get the point. Even Fan of Knives. So maybe if an Inspire Paladin deck gets enough support to be used, these cards will see play. But I think that if we can't make a competitively viable Inspire Paladin, both of these cards are not going to see constructed play. So we could... They're cards to watch. But if things don't pan out, they won't be played. Because they're not good enough vanilla for constructed play right now. So let's move on to that last super exciting card, which is the legendary Justicar Trueheart, a 6 mana 6/3 with the battle cry, replace your starting hero power with a better one. Let's talk about the card itself first. A 6 mana 6/3. A 6/3 is really kind of a weak card, health-wise, because it dies to a lot of different forms of AoE. It dies to most 2-drops, dies to most 3-drops, dies to almost every constructed played 4-drop. The only exception being Gnomish Inventor in Patron. Warrior. It dies to, I think, every constructed played weapon right now. Yeah. Except for maybe Doomhammer. But even then, 2 hits You don't really want a two-shot Justicar Trueheart with Doomhammer, but then you just have like Crackle, Lightning Bolt, Rockbite, or a Totem. There's other ways. So the stat line there means that Justicar Trueheart is very easily dealt with. However, given that Justicar Trueheart has 6 attack and does not have 7, but also, you know, the attack value is 5 or greater, this card will deal with most 5-drops and 6-drops that are constructed played right now. It won't answer Toshli, which is just another reason Toshli is even better now, but this card can trade well with minions of its same stat cost. And the battle cry is far more useful than something like, say, Hemet Nessingwary, which destroys a targeted beast. So, this could see play. It kind of depends on whether or not your hero power upgrade is so good that it's worth playing Justicar Trueheart for. So let's start with the Priest hero power, yeah? Actually, no, we should save the best for last. I don't know why it's the best, but just go with me. First up, we got the Silver Hand for Paladins. All the hero powers, by the way, will cost 2. The Paladin hero power, after playing Justicar Trueheart, will become to summon 2 1/1 recruits. More Inspire recruited in? We better see something to buff up these recruits, because if there's only Quartermaster, this is getting really gimmicky. And while this might see play in Paladin instead of something like Tharzan, because summoning 2 1/1 recruits per turn is really good, no other class can actually deal with that, because no other class has a hero power that deals split damage. You're gonna get 1/1 advantage over everything. Yeah. I think Justicar Trueheart might be good enough for Paladins. You have weapons to kind of help clear away minions and support Justicar Trueheart. You've got a hero power that becomes arguably one of the best upgraded hero powers. And yeah, it's pretty strong. The Mage one is Fire Blast rank 2. Hero power now becomes deal 2 damage targeted. Basically, Justicar Trueheart acts like a 6-mana 6/3 Battlecry Shadow form. And given that Shadow form costs 3 mana, that means Justicar Trueheart and Mage is actually comparable to a 3-mana 6/3. Again, pretty strong, but I'm not sure Mage really cares enough about the upgraded hero power. I want to hedge that really hard, because with the Rise of Koldara Drake, if you got Justicar Trueheart coined out into a Koldara Drake, the next turn, your hero power alone is able to deal 6 damage. You basically can Fireball at the bare minimum on turn 7, and every turn after that, your hero power gets stronger. By the end of the game, with Koldara Drake and an upgraded hero power, you can literally Pyroblast every turn, dealing the 2 damage split as you see fit, which is ridiculously PogChamp. So it kind of remains to be seen whether or not Justicar Trueheart will represent such a significant tempo loss that even like a Grinder Mage deck, or a Dragon Grinder Mage, whatever you want to call it, would not be able to play it, or whether Justicar Trueheart is actually strong enough to be played because of the upgraded hero power and Koldara Drake. So I do want to see how Justicar Trueheart comes out in Mage. I also want to see how Major Domo works with Koldara Drake. If somebody can make a combo deck like that, that'll be awesome, but that's beside the point. The Hunter hero power, Ballista Shot, it now becomes deal 3 damage to the enemy hero. This hero power, of all of them, I'm honestly going to say is probably the worst upgrade. Because you're getting +1 damage, it's non-targeted, and if you look at all the other hero powers, which we'll get to, but just kind of browse the other hero powers. Every class that can gain health from their hero power gains either 2 health, or in Druid's case, 1 health and 1 attack. In other words, where Hunter could previously stop a Priest and a Warrior from armoring up or healing by just tapping every turn to counter the opposing class's hero power, you now actually heal for 1 as a Priest or Warrior every turn while the Hunter tries but fails to do anything to you. Put this on top of the fact that Hunter already wants to be playing a high main on turn 6 instead of a 6/3 that does not stick to the board, and I think that's not playable in Hunter at all. Which is nice. Hunter doesn't need a better hero power. Next up is Druid. You've got Dire Shapeshift, a 2 mana, gain 2 armor and 2 attack this turn. Does not make Savagery playable in any sense of the word. On top of that, a 6-mana 6/3 is not amazing, especially when you'd already rather play Tharazon, which is highly relevant in Druid because of the Force Savage combo, or Sylvanas, which is a better 6-drop than Justicar Trueheart, especially for tempo, which when lost, Druid has a terrible time recovering. Combo that with the fact that Druid's hero power is one of the least game-changing hero powers in the game. Druid literally only hero powers when they have nothing better to do. Playing on curve in Druid is favorable to hero powering, whereas in other classes, hero powering every turn when you're ahead to get further ahead actually works. It doesn't work like that in Druid. Your hero power doesn't do that for you. So, I'm pretty sure Justicar Trueheart is also not playable in Druid. So far, we're 2 for 2 and playable, not playable. In Warrior, you've got Tank up now to gain 4 armor. Given that this card has to replace Tharazon, it's not going to be doing it in Patron Warrior. Patron Warrior doesn't care enough for armor, and Tharazon is ridiculously strong. In Control Warrior, replacing Tharazon... The problem with that is after Justicar Trueheart comes into play, the majority of minions will have 5 or more health. That means Tank Up plus Shield Slam is going to deal 4 damage if you're starting from nothing. That's not enough to kill most of the minions that will come into play. You still need Shield Block or Armorsmith plus some sort of damage. You're not quite gaining enough armor to where Shield Slam can become a tempo recovery method. So, I don't know if this is playable in Warrior, but I'm leaning towards not playable in Warrior at all. Just because, you know, you're not getting enough out of the cards that abuse armor for the bonus armor to make that big of a difference. If you had Tank Up earlier on in the game, sure, but Control Warrior wants to be playing its big threats late game. Patron Warrior doesn't even care. There's no Warrior that wants that bonus durability. There's no Outlast Warrior. There's no archetype for that. So, I don't think Justicar Trueheart's playable in Warrior. I think Sylvanas is superior to Trueheart in Warrior, and I think Tharazon is as well, especially given that in Warrior deck, cards like Nefarian, Ysera, I can't run out of 9-drops that fast. Alexstrasza. Sure, one more was good enough. When you have Tharazon and it hits a 9-drop, it allows you to hero power now as well, and a lot of Control Warriors do like to play dragons like that, because there is the Dragon Control Warrior deck archetype, and in Vanilla Control Warrior you still play cards like Alexstrasza and sometimes Ysera. So, I don't think Trueheart is good enough in Warrior to warrant play. I could be wrong, but I'm leaning towards unplayable in Warrior. The Warlock hero power is Soul Tap. It's just now draw a card. Instead of taking the 2 damage and drawing a card, you just draw a card. The issue with that is most Mountain Giants for Handlock will be out by the time you play Justicar Trueheart. So you're not going to need to tap like that. And on top of that, if you're like Zoo or any other sort of mid-rangey deck, getting a weaker 6-drop in order to get a slightly better hero power isn't really what you care about. Losing that 2 life to gain tempo is just fine. Losing tempo to gain a hero power that doesn't lose you life to gain tempo, that's a non-bo. You lost tempo to gain tempo. Anyone else see the problem? All you're doing is saving life when you want to get better tempo. So, that's not really worth it in Warlock, I don't think. Especially because cards like Mountain Giant and probably the new Frost Giant, you're going to want to have those out by turn 7. So, while it's conceivable that you will draw them after turn 7, I don't think the hero power remains relevant enough and frequently used enough in Handlock, even Handlock, to where Justicar Trueheart is worth it to replace that hero power, especially because the Handlock hero power already synergizes with Molten Giant so strongly. So, I don't think Trueheart's playable in Warlock either. The hero power is not good enough. It's actually a non-bo in almost every Warlock deck. For the Shaman hero power, you get to summon a totem of your choice. This I'm not certain of, and I'm going to go into the comment thread for this just to confirm for you guys and see for certain if Blizzard has done anything with this. When we talk about totems, are we talking about the original 4? No one's talking about that. Okay. So you summon a totem of your choice. I'm going to assume that this totem of your choice is one of the original 4. You got Stoneclaw, Wrath of Air, Healing, and Searing. That's a pretty bad power, quite honestly, because when you're that late into the game, tapping for a totem, yeah, sometimes it's nice to be able to get that targeted spell damage, or the targeted heal totem, or the targeted taunt. But quite frankly, when you compare it to all the other hero powers, Mage now just deals with any totem you choose to summon, so it doesn't matter. Druid deals with any totem you choose to summon, so it doesn't matter. Paladin out-damages you by far and away. Most of the other classes, Warrior, Warlock, they don't care about your totem at all. Hunter doesn't care about your totem. I mean, I guess it's kind of nice to be able to have a targeted taunt every turn against Hunter, but now you've got one class that it's useful against, and another, let's see, 2, 4, 5 that we've discussed so far that it's relatively useless against. And yeah, I don't think being able to control your RNG that late into the game is going to be all that relevant. I could be wrong. I'm willing to be wrong, but I think that's another one that is just not good enough. So let's look at Rogue. Rogue's hero power becomes to equip a 2/2 weapon. Let's bear in mind that this is in the later game, after turn 6. So you're not going to be getting this hero power to deal with early 3/2s just because you have Justicar Trueheart in your deck. This is a battle cry, not a static effect. I wish it were a static effect. That would change my evaluation of this card and make it a staple in every deck, even Shaman, which I think is the least powerful hero power now, after Justicar Trueheart upgrades all of these. But the Rogue weapon is still pretty strong. I mean, you're dealing 2 damage per turn, you get to choose where it goes, and you get weapon buffs. Let's bear in mind that this is basically like a permanent +1 spell damage to something like Blade Flurry. Now, is this playable in Oil Rogue? What cards do you have to drop? I don't know. Honestly, Rogue is my least favorite class. It's the one I have the least amount of knowledge about. Yes, even less than Shaman. And I'm not a huge Shaman buff either. But for what is probably the least reliable opinion you could find on YouTube, from someone who seems to know what they're talking about, hopefully? I'm digging myself in a hole. Shovel over there. Okay. I think that it's maybe playable in an Oil Rogue deck. I think that equipping a 2/2 weapon is probably worth playing the 6-mana 6/3. Because Rogue already has ridiculous tempo recovery. You've got Sap. You've got, well, Sprint, I guess. No, Sprint's not an example of tempo. What am I saying? You've got Sap. You've got high damage Blade Flurries to clear ridiculously large boards and deal massive amounts of damage in one turn. I don't think the tempo loss is crippling to Rogue. So, I think it's fine. Last but not least, we've got Priest, which has the hero power now, restore 4 health. This is targeted. This does synergize with Velen, and will double after the fact. It does work with Auchenai. Auchenai now has your hero power become a targeted deal 4, which is unarguably the strongest hero power of the new ones. And yeah. Basically, I think Priest got the best upside of this, because you've got ways to mess with your hero power. I like building Velen decks in the first place, and on top of that, Priest doesn't actually seem to care all that much about losing that kind of tempo. You've got cards like Light Bomb to recover from just ridiculous unrecoverable situations, and when you've got Heal, where you can literally outlast any class's damage at this point, except Paladins, because it'll just fill the board again, you know, it's worth it. But what card would this replace? But what card would this replace? It can't replace Harrison. It can't replace Toshli, because Toshli's stat value synergizes too well with a Priest hero power. I think Justicar Trueheart would work in an Outlast kind of Priest, where interestingly enough, you run Shadow Form. So let's go ahead and talk about that interaction. The thing that they have confirmed about this new hero power is that this will only change base hero powers. If you've modified your hero power, example, used Shadow Form, then the battle cry will not actually work. It will not revert your hero power back to the priest heal hero power. It will just fizzle. So Shadow Form is a non-bow with Justicar Trueheart, and Shadow Form will work after you've played Justicar Trueheart if you want to convert your hero power over. Now that said, an Outlast Priest healing for 4 per turn is still ridiculously strong, so I don't think that's all that much of a problem. Replacing Shadow Form with a 6/3 that lets you heal for 4 every turn now, that's fine. If you want to use this in some kind of a Velen combo deck or like an aggro-y kind of priest to synergize with Auchenai, that's fine too. Even in a control deck that does still run the Auchenai Circle, the good old American control priest, that's pretty strong. If you're talking about the Chinese or Japanese build of control priest, I don't think Justicar Trueheart's actually good enough. But that's still 3 classes that I would say of the 9 that can use Justicar Trueheart. That's still pretty good. I mean, if you think about Tharzan, Tharzan doesn't tend to get used in priest all that often. Tharzan does not tend to get used in any sort of aggro deck other than Tempo Mage. I guess there are sorts of combo decks that Tharzan gets used in because he's universally applicable there, where Justicar Trueheart is not universally applicable to combo decks, but still. The point of the matter is that Trueheart seems kind of cool, especially in Paladin and Mage. I think it could kind of make this sort of sleeper powerhouse Outlast Priest work, but I'm really interested to see what happens with Justicar Trueheart in some sort of Inspire Paladin or in a ridiculous Hero Power Mage. Maybe even Inspire Mage. But yeah. So those are my thoughts on the cards. All in all, these two down here, largely irrelevant unless we see an Inspire Paladin. Justicar Trueheart, pretty cool, especially with Koldara Drake. So, vanilla strong in Paladin and Mage, possibly strong in an Outlast Priest, possibly strong in some sort of combo Priest. And that rogue weapon, the, what was it, Poison Blade? Yeah, Poison Blade, irrelevant completely. So those are my thoughts on the cards. If you like the video or my content, feel free to subscribe, and I would very much appreciate it. If you have any comments, opposing opinions to my own, feel free to post them in the comment section. I read every comment. If you have any feedback on video quality, feel free to leave that as well. I'm always interested in that kind of stuff. But regardless, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you with the next release of cards. Take care, guys.